Head of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, Emil Short, has called for sanctions to be imposed on various state agencies that have failed to implement the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, NACAP. This follows the release of an assessment of the implementation of the plan for 2016, showing that many of the agencies are not implementing the plan. Government, SHRAJ, and other civil society organizations have been discussing progress of the plan since Monday. Presenting the progress report for 2016, Director of Anti-Corruption at SHRAJ, Charles Ayamdo, said only 4 out of 216 MMDAs reported back to SHRAJ on their implementation. There's more following report.
Adopted by Parliament in July 2014, the plan was to provide a strategic approach towards tackling corruption for the next 10 years. The annual assessment offers SHRAJ, which is the implementing body, an opportunity to identify loopholes which need to be addressed. Presenting the findings, Director of Anti-Corruption at SHRAJ, Charles Ayamdo, said many ministries, departments and agencies have failed woefully to implement the plan.
When you total the number of IPs that we tried to reach out to, there were more than 340, just not adding the MMDAs and so on. And out of this, only 4 MMDAs in Accra participated, in fact, 3 in Accra and 1 in Eburi area participated, implemented NACAP and reported on what they have done in their assemblies.
Former SHRAJ boss Emil Short believes the imposition of sanctions on such agencies is the way to go.
There is the need for government to impose sanctions on those who are not cooperating, the MDAs and MMDAs who are not cooperating, The participation is too low, and unless sanctions are imposed, I doubt very much whether it will increase.
What remains to be seen is the nature of the sanctions that may be imposed if government responds to the call. SHRAJ boss Joseph Whittal thinks cutting down on budgetary allocations to such agencies could force them to act.
If you are supposed to fight corruption and you have been given the chance to budget for it and to implement it, and you have done nothing about it, and corruption is taking place in your place, it means you are not fighting corruption effectively. So the central management bodies, Public Services Commission, Office of the Head of Civil Service, and even the presidency should be considering sanctioning them. One way would be budgetary cuts, withholding budgets until you show that you are doing it, and any other thing that will force, especially the MDAs, from this lethargic approach to the fight against corruption.
SHRAJ will on Saturday hold an anti-corruption conference as it wraps up celebration of Anti-Corruption Week.
The Works and Housing Ministry is investigating the unauthorized eviction of a public servant from a state bungalow he was occupying at Ridge here in Accra. The forcible eviction is said to have been coordinated by one Grace Champong from the Office of the Chief of Staff.
I asked them why they were doing that, and they couldn't provide any evidence, except to say that they are coming from the Flagstaff house.
But how did you get this property? How long have you been living here?
I've been living here since 2013. I was given an allocation letter from the Ministry of Works and Housing.
Okay.
And that is why I'm here. And it's a government bungalow, and all government workers are entitled to. So as far as there's a vacancy, you enter there unless you are transferred or you die or you retire. And I'm not retired, I'm still in active service.
Okay, so what is happening now? Because I realize I've seen the military men and the one lady. I've seen a number of them here. What do they want now?
The lady in red is called Araba. She came this morning with the military, the dawn, at 1 a.m. with the military to break into my room. She's been here 3 times. And so there's some other military came and said they've been sent from the Flagstaff house to come and investigate the issue. So currently that is what is ongoing now. And my brothers who are here and trying to support.
Now, Grace Champon had gone to the bungalow earlier this week with a combined team of military and police personnel to throw out the belongings of Abdullah Amin, a staff of the Controller and Accountant General's Department. You just heard him. Now, reacting to the development in an interview with journalist Joseph Akable, Deputy Works and Housing Minister Frida Prempeh said the ministry has not sanctioned any such evictions, adding that the perpetrators will be punished since their actions are driving the name of the government into disrepute.
That one, I can say that is not from the ministry. We also heard about it. I've asked my PR department to call for the tape. We are going to study the tape and investigate. I've seen some faces in the video, and they've told me that there's a lady called Araba who is involved, and she happens to work at the Flagstaff House. My point is, if you work in the Flagstaff House, that's the more reason why you have to protect the image of the Flagstaff House. You don't bring the Flagstaff House into disrepute. No, you don't do that. And you cannot take the law into your own hands. And as much as I know, I don't think this ministry has allocated that particular bungalow or block of flats to anybody called Araba. That's why I said we'd have to investigate. I sent for her from the Flagstaff House. She's not turned up yet. She only sent me a text message that somebody told her that I needed to see her. But we are still going to pursue this particular issue because we'll not sit back for any individual to bring the name or the image of this ministry down. No, we're not going to do that. We're not countenance on that.
Do you have a sense of the status of that facility that is in terms of the person occupying? Is it a person who is occupying legitimately?
No, but I can't tell you off head that we know each one who lives in any of our bungalows.
But the case in point, the individual said you were...
No, somebody just sent me a copy of the tape. I didn't listen to Joy News at the time. My colleague MPs called me, friends from outside called me because my name was mentioned in the tape. That's why I said I've asked my PR department to go for the tape. We'll have to watch the whole video clip. What I've been watching is the interview that your lady did with the gentleman. And it's true that some people have come through to my office to explain. When we started this exercise, people came through to the office to explain why they were not paying monthly whatever. Some said they were now regularizing things with the ministry and all that. Some said they were following up on their pay slips. There were so many excuses. And I can tell you that within a week, we were able to raise about 850,000 Ghana cedis because people went to Bank of Ghana to pay. So it's a good exercise. Some other people, like what the gentleman was saying, came here to explain to me that I work with so-and-so agency A or agency B. This is my pay slip. There are some people who also came in with fake pay slips. So we are investigating all that. So if you come just walk into my office and tell me that I work with agency A, this is my pay slip, and so therefore I have legitimacy to be in that bungalow, we'll pursue it. You see, some of these things have gone on for far too long, and I think that as a minister or a deputy minister, one of our core mandates is to ensure that we provide quality, affordable houses for the good people of Ghana. Our other mandate is to ensure that we protect lives and properties at the coastal areas, to ensure that we desilt our drains and cover them when necessary and all that. But that doesn't mean that we should not protect the already existing bungalows that we have. That's why, as the Deputy Minister in charge of housing, I've discussed it with my boss to go down the line and pursue some of these issues to find out exactly what is happening and how we can also protect government properties.
Also, supervising Wa High Court, Justice Kwesi Boakye has pleaded with residents in the Upper West region to be more cooperative when invited to testify in court as witnesses. The plea, he says, has become necessary due to people's reluctance to appear in court in the region, preferring to rather speak to the media about their cases. Addressing the second general meeting of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs in Wa, Justice Kwesi Boakye said the courts are neither shrines nor prayer camps and assured persons who appear as witnesses they will not be intimidated. Rafiq Salam reports.
Supervising Wa High Court Judge Justice Kwesi Boakye's appeal to members of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs shortly after swearing 3 paramount chiefs as members of the House was on the challenges faced by the courts in delivering justice in the region. There are several cases before the courts that witnesses are reluctant to come to the courtroom to testify, but rather prefer to speak to the media when they are called. Justice Kwasi Bachu noted that the court is neither a shrine nor a prayer camp, and assured witnesses to the court that they will not be intimidated if they put themselves up at the witness box.
The media trial is not what we need. It is not established by law. The evidence you will give, the information you will give to the media people, they cannot do anything with it. I'm sorry, but that is the fact. We need this information in the courtroom. Please be prepared. The courtroom, is not a shrine. It's not a prayer camp. It's a public place. Nobody will intimidate you.
He stated that the court rely on information given by witnesses in the open court, which is recorded and subjected to cross-examination.
I don't use magic, with due respect. I don't use miracle. Let the people know that the courtroom is a public place. In fact, you don't pay money to come to the courtroom, and nobody will sack you for coming into the courtroom. You only have to comport yourself when you enter the courtroom and observe proceedings.
Upper West Regional Minister Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan told the chiefs that government was working within the constraints of the national budget and donor support to provide basic necessities such as potable water, health facilities, educational infrastructure, electricity, and motorable roads. On his part, President of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs, Koro Richard Babinikanton the Safe, commended the government for elevating 3 districts in the region to the status of municipalities. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime. We have more stories coming up. Please stay tuned. The Cape Coast High Court has annulled a decision by the authorities of the University of Cape Coast to rusticate 22 students of the university. The students were expelled after clashes between the Atlantic and Ogua Hall in March this year. At least 3 students were stabbed and properties worth thousands of cedis were destroyed during the clashes. Delivering the judgment on Friday, the High Court Judge, Justice William Bwampong, faulted the university for failing to adduce evidence that led to the rustication of the 22 students. Richard Kujunako has more.
The case of the 22 rusticated students and the university authorities has lingered on at the Cape Coast High Court for a very long time. In March this year, there were chaotic scenes when students from the Atlantic Hall and their counterpart from Ogua Hall clashed during the whole week of Atlantic Hall. The University of Cape Coast took some measures. They rusticated 22 of these students. These 22 students were mainly hall executives from Atlantic Hall and then members of the planning committee of the said hall week. The students were aggrieved and they decided to resort to the law courts for their grievances to be addressed. They went to the law court and today judgment has been given in favor of the 22 students. The university, according to the court, should cough 220,000 Ghana cedis for the students. Each student is expected to be given 10,000 Ghana cedis. According to the courts, the principles of natural justice were breached. The students were not given fair hearing. The University of Cape Coast was not able, being the defendant, were not able to adduce any evidence to support the rustication they gave the students. The court believed that the university faulted in the procedure in how they dealt with the students. I've been speaking with a couple of students. My name is Enoch Abekubati Planchiteria. I guess we're in court today. Yeah, we're in court today. All that I would say is glory be to God for how far we have come. This is all we expected as student leaders, to make sure that the right things were done. And so we did our part. The court still did their part. Frankly speaking, psychologically I was down, emotionally I was down. By the point I felt, yeah, we have to be strong. So the main reason why we decided to take a legal action was because we just wanted an injunction on this, so that at least we could get a space and a portion to write the exam. That's the main reason why we took a legal action. Because people always ask, why do you take issue to court? That's the main reason why we took it. At a point, we felt, we had a case, but we felt the university is so big that with the so many forces, the protocols around, and we mere students, 22 students, we felt this is only going to be serious. At the time that we were entering the court, personally, I was like, God, just do it. So at the point where the judge was reading his judgment, we realized where things were going, and finally where he ended that the verdict goes in our favor and the university would have to compensate us. At that point, I just felt like crying. I was crying because I felt a burden has been lifted off me where my colleagues have undergone a graduation congregation. Here I am now, without no certificates because I don't even know what to tell my parents. But now, per the court verdict, we can now go for our certificates. And thereafter, whatever compensation that is due us, we go for it.
The struggle by prepaid customers of the Electricity Company of Ghana to get their power supply restored following a major computer glitch got terrifying on Friday when one of the customers collapsed at the ECG project office near the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. The young lady in her mid-20s began to foam at the mouth when she fell to the floor, having stood for about 4 hours in the milling crowd waiting to be attended to. The cards used by over 80,000 of prepaid customers to buy electricity was made inactive following the computer glitch and have been unable to buy power since December 1. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
I was behind him when I saw her going down slowly. I thought maybe she was about to pick something from the ground. But when I saw her, she had just collapsed and fell down. So I could see maybe because of the heat, that's why.
The place where you were standing, was it really hot?
Sure, very hot. There's no space. We're just pushing by the cloud. Yes. Here for almost a week now. I've not had any light to sleep. So we are appealing to the electricity guys to please do something about it. We are suffering.
Well, this is the first step towards getting your card reset for you to be able to buy ECG prepaid credits onto your card. A lot of people are gathered in front of this structure waiting to drop their cards in their envelopes. A lot of them look frustrated. You can see it's not really a queue. It's badly organized here, so it's more or less like the survival of the fittest here at this entrance. What's your name?
I'm Isaac.
How long have you been here?
Since morning. I mean, from 5:30, I've been here. Yeah.
How bad is the situation here? What are you waiting for right now?
Very bad. I mean, there's no plan. There's no plan. We came here. I mean, you have to drop your envelope there. I mean, look at the crowd here. Just to drop your envelope, your card, before for the upgrade. Look at the crowd here. How can we drop it? I'm a tailor. I'm a seamstress.
Okay. So right now you don't have power. How is it affecting your business?
I mean, there are more things there to sew. You see, and there's no power. And more things are coming too. So if there's no lights, I can't sew.
This overhead a man talking about illegal connection. He says that is the only thing they can resort to right now. Let me find out from you. What's the why there?
Illegal,
well, he said he has finished with a legal connection. But you know that's bad, right?
It is bad already. But it is bad. What are they also is bad. All of a sudden, you cannot purchase the power. You understand? So what I would do to get a light for my babies to enjoy electricity and have enough sleeping, that's what I'm going to do. Business is not going in at all. Everything is slow because without electricity I cannot work. You understand? I need electricity to move on my machines. You understand?
Since 5 o'clock. I've been here since from 5 o'clock. And one thing is worrying that since from 5 o'clock, since from Sunday, no light. So how can I work? And how can I live in the house? So from here, I have the money to buy the credit. As I'm not getting, from here I'm going to be illegal.
Of course.
And no one can catch me. and I'll put a glass beside me. Any electricity man who come and be, I'll use the knife on him.
Right now, I see a police officer and then somebody from the army also trying to maintain order there, but it looks like that is not working.
Well, the Electricity Company of Ghana has meanwhile outlined a series of interventions to help address challenges associated with the faulty card. Addressing a news conference in Accra in the last few hours, its Managing Director, Engineer Boakye Appiah, said the company has increased its service desks from 40 to 60 just to ease the congestion at its various offices. Meanwhile, the Public Relations Officer, William Boateng, believes the crisis faced by the company, there's not enough justification for the company to be privatized. He spoke to my colleague, Parker Wilson.
In every human process that you can think of, every business process, you're bound to have some percentage of error margin. Right. And we shouldn't make it look as if it has been a private company, this thing wouldn't have occurred. We have private companies. We have private companies that have collapsed. We have private companies that continue to collapse or they are in serious distress. It is when we are dealing with machines and systems, once in a lifetime, because this has never happened before. We have operated the BOT system for the past 10 years, and we have never had such an incident. So unfortunately, for the first time, for 2 days, the server happens to be down. And of course, ICT experts are there. I'm not an ICT expert, but I expect the director ICT to take measures, whether he needs to do a certain auditing, a certain diagnosis, and ensure that we don't go through this experience again. But I am stating, as a matter of fact, that it's as if it's like you have a vehicle, then you have a spare tire, you lose your tire that you are driving with, you fix the new tire, and the new tire you take off, and the new tire starts also creating problems. That's exactly what we went through. If we didn't have a backup or we have not put measures in place, we would have lost all the data. But of course, the data was active when we finished working on it. Only we've left with some category of customers that we need to reactivate their cards because the system was not giving us accurate.
So you think that this is not enough basis for government to privatize ECG?
It's not enough basis. I think that every business process you have, there's suddenly going to be one time or the other where you have to face such a challenge or a crisis. And I think it's one of those that we have to learn from it.
Do we foresee another challenge coming up?
No.
Hello, good evening to you. Time for business. The Aviation Ministry has inaugurated a 5-member committee to investigate the Starbow crash at the Kotoka International Airport last week. It is recalled that a Kumasi-bound Starbow aircraft skidded off the tarmac at the Kotoka International Airport, injuring about 5 passengers. The Minister for Aviation, Cecilia Dapaah, said this is to ensure the safety of the nation's air services. The committee is chaired by Air Commodore Nana Kreku, retired.
According to the sector minister, she has visited the accident scene to ascertain the situation for herself and has had some discussions with the Ghana Airports Company Limited, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, as well as officials of Starbow Airlines. Subsequently, in accordance with the Ghana Civil Aviation Amendment Act 960, she said a committee has been tasked to establish the cause of the accident.
It is in consonance with the provisions of the Act that I have constituted this committee to investigate the incident involving the Starbow aircraft. I have no doubt about the level of expertise of the committee members in aircraft accident-related matters. I therefore urge you to do your work diligently and independently. Government, through the Ministry of Aviation, remains committed to assisting local airlines and entrepreneurs to set up strong private airlines that can utilize the nation's route rights. Thus, I wish to reiterate our resolve to supporting local airline operators to stay in business and to perform efficiently and effectively for the socio-economic development of the country.
Pending investigations, the airline has suspended its operations and subsequently terminated the contracts of some of its staff. But in an interview, Cecilia Dapaah explained the ministry is concerned about the workers and that their current conditions may be temporary.
They have temporarily suspended all operations, and I believe after the investigations they will come back with some feedback for us in the ministry, and we'll put it out there, because I know maybe the people If you even add ancillary services, they are more than the 200. Here we are trying to find jobs for our youth and for Ghanaians. And here is this accident that is threatening the job security, and we are not taking this lightly.
Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
Now, government is to roll out new regulatory reforms to streamline the country's business environment in the coming weeks. Business operators have over the years lamented existing business regulations as unduly complicated and less business-friendly. But Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Kyerematen says the reforms should improve the situation and enable government to achieve its industrialization agenda. Charles Aite spoke with the country rep of the World Bank, Henry Kirani.
We are very pleased to see that Ministry of Trade and Industry is coordinating a very comprehensive business reform strategy. It's important for Ghana, but it's also important for the economy of Ghana to ensure that businesses, particularly the private sector, can function in an environment that encourages them to grow and create jobs.
But you have been stating specific things that government will have to look out for: corruption, the passage of the Right Information Bill. Could you please expatiate that for us?
There are a number of these bills that have been drafted before. The Companies Act, the PPP Bill, the Insolvency Act, the Freedom of Information Act. All of these have gone through reviews and have gone through several processes. These are targeted at improving the overall business environment in Ghana. So it's important to move forward and get these approved. There have been, as I say, several reviews, so it's probably time to get them passed by Parliament. And by doing so, it will make a considerable contribution to improving Ghana's rankings.
How best do you think we could sustain this very reform in terms of, making it the best as it tends to be, not just in Ghana but across Africa?
The key thing is, of course, making sure that the business people themselves, the private sector, is involved in the reform process. Secondly, ensuring that the institutions, these are the government ministries, departments and agencies, also play an important role. The key issue we see right now are several vested interests, people who are gaining from the way that things currently work. And so there has to be that change of attitude to ensure that the primary objective is to provide better services, faster services at lower cost, so that Ghana's economy can be very competitive, not only in Africa, but internationally.
Finally, the very move by Ghana to embark on this agenda, this Ghana Beyond Aid agenda, what's the World Bank's, impressions about this, and what specific recommendations would they have?
This is a very commendable vision for Ghana. In fact, I would say all developing countries should have the same vision, because aid is simply, as the word says, it is to aid you because you are not able to do it for yourself. So Ghana Beyond Aid means Ghana will grow into a position that it can do it for itself. And this means growing the private sector, growing the businesses, improving the business environment, so that Ghana does not have to depend on money from outside in order to provide services for its people.
Away from that, Executive Vice Chairman of Vanguard Assurance, Dr. Gideon Amenyedo, is advising insurers must make payment of claims less stressful for clients if the industry can make a headway with internet penetration. According to him, the challenges encountered by clients when making claims discourage the many people from subscribing to one form of insurance or the other. Mr. Amenyedo made a call at the launch of Vanguard's new motor insurance product, Telematics Insurance.
Currently, insurance penetration in Ghana is said to be hovering around a low rate of 2%. As industry players grapple to raise the penetration rate, Dr. Gideon Amenyedo explains that the situation can be improved should claims payments be made more quick and easy. He spoke to Joy Business at the launch of Telematics Insurance by Vanguard Assurance.
The product is not the policy that we launched. The product is claim. It's a promise to pay claims. And if we pay attention to that process and reinvent the whole claim process, not putting a lot of bottlenecks, everybody will take insurance. Because if the client doesn't see, you say you pay claims and a person comes and he has to do this, do that, do this, do that, and those things blocks the claim process. Those processes, I'm not saying that take them off, because we need to be able to know that there's a genuine process. But technology can help us be able to identify those things well. People commit crimes and they hide, but digital is able to bring it out. So we need to adapt that in the insurance industry. And once we do it, Ghanaians like technology. Look at the number of people who carry mobile phone. Even though people who cannot even afford other things, they buy mobile phone because they can see the benefit. So they buy the units and they prioritize units more than anything else. So they want to buy insurance, but we must make sure the product called insurance, which is what? Promise to pay claim. That promise is being delivered.
Telematics insurance is a form of automobile insurance that deploys technology to measure various aspects of how, when and where you drive. This allows for quick response and access to claims in case of a car accident. Mr. Amenyodo explains how this new technology will become a game changer in the industry.
It's happened. So what we have done in telematic insurance is to use technology to solve the whole problem. What we've done is that whenever there's an accident, your location per the device you are putting will be able to know where you are. So all you have to do is that press the button. It sends an SOS message to us that something horrible has happened to you, our client. So that message comes straight to Vanguard and we pick it up through the device we are putting, through the telematic device we are putting in the car. So we'll dispatch on the spot our surveyors who come to the spot because they know where you are located. You don't need to call us. So when they get there, they will take pictures and be able to put a very simple report of what happens, whose fault it is. So you don't need to give a police report. So telematic insurance basically is a game changer. It's one to revolutionize and make the claim process, which is really the product that you are buying, simpler. No notification, no police report. Those are the two benefits, and these benefits are very important that they will rewrite the books of insurance.
Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
And that'll be it for Business Tonight. Many thanks for your attention. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. Enjoy the weekend. Good evening.
Business was brought. Joy News Prime Headlines is brought to you in association with NIIT Ghana.
President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has described the 2008 election defeat as the worst ever in the New Patriotic Party's history, considering that it emerged winner in the first round of that election, leading with 49.13% of the votes. Then candidate Akufo-Addo of the NPP lost to John Evans Atta Mills in a dramatic runoff, which was eventually decided by the Tyne constituency in the Brong-Ahafo region. At a Muslim Thanksgiving service at the Bosokai Central Mosque Friday afternoon, the Vice President said the party remains convinced the 2016 election victory was divine. Latif Idris was there for Joy News.
The Thanksgiving service was preceded by the Juma prayers led by the National Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nuh Sharubutu. Imams and scholars recited the entirety of the Holy Quran twice to thank God for the 2016 election victory. In the company of his wife Hajia Samira Bawumia, ministers of state, NPP MPs, and some National Party executives, the Vice President recounted the 2008 defeat.
We together won the first round by, and missed winning 50% plus one just by 23,000 votes in the first round. So we came very, very close. I think it was about 49.8% or something in the first round. We didn't win the second round. We lost by about 40,000 votes out of over 8 million votes. It was a heartbreaking loss because we thought we were so close.
The Akufo-Addo administration has been criticized for sacrificing the time for government business to hold a Thanksgiving service. But the Nasara coordinator of the party, Kamaldeen Abdullahi, said the criticism are abominable.
I think it's an abominable act to say that thanking Almighty Allah or thanking God for what He has done for you is not worth it. I'm saying this because if there are people who have a problem, okay, because the government of the day, and if you like, the party in government today, is calling for Ghanaians to meet our thanks to the Almighty Allah for giving us 1 year of good governance, for giving us 1 year in power, for making sure, or for giving us that peaceful election that we saw on December 7th, that I think is something we should question seriously. I don't know of the Bible, but I know of the Quran, where Allah has said that should whatever I do to you or do for you, okay, should you continue to appreciate it and praise me, I will continue to increase you.
The Vice President promised to give the Central Mosque a facelift.
Also, former President John Agyekum Kufuor has lauded the Akufo-Addo government's first year in office, especially for what he describes as the good policies it has put in place. The former president says he remains confident Ghana, at this rate, will become an established middle-income economy in the next 10 years. He was speaking with journalists at a ceremony to celebrate his 79th birthday, and Siame Fajra Dozie was there for Joy News.
John Agyekum Kufuor, who was also known as the Gentle Giant, came to power in January 2001 and served 2 terms until 2009. His public service, however, started several decades before that. He told journalists at a ceremony attended by friends, family and well-wishers Ghana has very bright prospects.
Ghana should be in the mainstream of the middle-income world within the next 10 years. It can be done. We did it. We started from HIPIC. Within 6 years, Ghana was able to attain the lower middle income status. So it's as if, because we do not trust ourselves, because we see ghosts and skeletons all over the place, we do not allow ourselves to reach out for the moon. We can do it.
He was full of commendations for President Akufo-Addo. He says has what it takes to get Ghana to its rightful place in the Committee of Nations.
Oh, there's a lot of change happening. There's some good feeling around the country now, very distinct from what transpired before 2017. And we should ride the good feeling with good policies that the people would critically examine, and when we feel it's good, let's support it.
Relatives and friends who attended the event spoke fondly of the Ghanaian statesman.
He's a very calm, controlled, very deep person, very spiritual, very forgiving, sometimes to a fault. You know, everything happens and he lets it go, it passes. And he loves family. Very warm, very, very warm person.
My President Kufuor is a father. If you want to sum up the true nature of President Kufuor, he's a father and a great leader. He's somebody that, in a nutshell, I would say that he was God sent to this country and to the world. He's impacted a lot of lives. He's done so well for Ghana.
The Wenchi Youth for Development Association, a development advocacy youth group at Wenchi in the Brahafo region, is partnering some international organizations to provide social amenities such as safe drinking water and classrooms to deprived communities there. Public Relations Officer of the association, Evans Osei-Jesse, who disclosed this, said the move is geared towards augmenting the Wenchi Municipal Assembly's efforts at bettering the lots of communities within the area. Mr. Kafui Ajuma was at the presentation of farm inputs and clothing to some of the deprived communities in the municipality and filed the following report.
The Wenchi Youth for Development Association was formed 4 years ago by some young professionals to advocate equitable distribution of development projects within the Wenchi municipality. The association, since its establishment, has maintained pressure on the municipal assembly to deliver social amenities to the people. Evans Osejesi says the association believes development should be a shared responsibility, hence the need to solicit support from international development organizations to provide for deprived communities.
We are not only giving out clothing, we are giving some farm implements because all these places are typically farming communities. Aside that, we came with a medical team from Green Life Foundation. They are into medical outreach. We have partnered them to give free medical screening and assistance to people within these communities. We are officially opening the luncheon. The Grand Deba is on 21st of December 2017. We entreat everybody, those closer and afar, to come together. This is the time. Let's take the course of development on our individual shoulders and give the little that we can give to the communities.
At a brief ceremony to officially launch the association, presiding member of the Wenchi Municipal Assembly, Samuel Mensah, described the association's intervention as timely as the assembly is finding alternative ways to expand development to all communities in the municipality. Nesta Kafui Ajomes reports for Joy News.
Crop scientists at the University of Cape Coast are appealing to government to include cowpea as one of the crops selected and the government's Planting for Food and Jobs program. They argue cowpea, which is consumed by a majority of Ghanaians on a daily basis, is capable of solving the country's food security challenges, whilst also helping reduce the dependency on imported legumes from neighboring countries. Project manager Dr. Aaron Tete Asari of the Department of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology made the appeal on behalf of his colleagues after inspecting an 8-acre cowpea farm cultivated by inmates of the Ankafo Maximum Security Prisons to supplement their food supplies. Richard Kojunyako has more.
Cowpea is the cheapest source of protein for everyone in both rural and urban communities in Ghana. But cowpea production in the country is very low in spite of the high consumption of the crop in Ghana. It is consumed in most homes and very common to find people patronizing waakye and gari and beans. The nutritional value of the crop is said to be very healthy compared to meat. But the worry many scientists have is that most of the cowpea consumed in the country are imported from Burkina Faso and Niger to supplement that of the local market. Under government flagship project, the Planting for Food and Jobs, the scientists and the project managers were expecting cowpea to be selected among the list of crops under the project, but the crop is conspicuously missing in the list. The project manager, Dr. Aaron Tete Asari of the Department of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, is appealing to government to include in the list of crops since it will cut down the importation of the crop and have other beneficial uses for the country.
And in the school system, the feeding programs by government, cowpea is the main source of protein in the diet. When it comes to the prison service, the prisoners consume a lot of cowpea in the diet, in their daily diet, in the sense that fish is expensive to buy fish to feed them. I must say that cowpea production in Ghana is relatively low. It is known that we are expected to consume 169,000 tons of cowpea annually. And so I want to take this opportunity to appeal to government to incorporate cowpea, because among all the crops that have been listed, cowpea should have been the major leguminous crop.
Recently, after the training of farmers on the various varieties of the crop of the cowpea species, the farmers were given the opportunity to select the best improved cowpea varieties of their choice to be developed for planting in their respective farms. Among the farmers were authorities of the Ankafo Maximum Security Prisons.
We are all aware that cowpea has protein content, and our inmates need this protein content to perform a lot of activities. That aside, this farm, usually we have to buy fertilizer to fertilize the land before we cultivate other crops like the cereals. But when we cultivate it, it improves the soil nutrient. And it also don't let we sort of harbor the inmates for nothing. They get something doing. They produce and then they eat. And that, I think, is in good order.
The Farmers Fields Day forms part of a project being undertaken by a research team involving scientists from the College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences and the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research and the University of Cape Coast. It is being sponsored by the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. Through this project, the scientists have developed over 22 varieties of cowpea with distinctive features. Richard Kwejenyakon, Joy News, Cape Coast.
It is mandatory for the overlord of the Wala Kingdom every year to test his physical strength. This he does each year by jumping over a cow restrained to the ground whilst ensuring that no part of his body or gown touches it. A jump is an indication that he would live to continue ruling his people, but if he fails, it is regarded as a bad omen which presupposes he was going to die shortly, as it suggests he is weak. At one such cow jump to climax the Dumba Festival in Wa, Nafusaini Pelpo IV passed the test. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam has the rest of the story.
Dumba Festival, celebrated by the chiefs and people of the Wala traditional area, was originally an Islamic celebration to commemorate the birth of Prophet Muhammad, but over time it has absorbed strong local influence.
Apart from this festival being a cultural and rural festival, it also presents the physical strength of the Wana.
The overlord of the Wala Kingdom jumps over a cow tied and confined to the ground. If the overlord is able to successfully jump over it, then it is a clear indication that he will live to continue ruling his people. But if he fails, it is a bad omen which presupposes that he will die shortly because he is considered weak and has no long life to rule anymore. The onus then lies on Nafusaini Pelpo IV, who on 9 previous occasions was successful. In a speech read on his behalf by his spokesperson, Abdul Qadir Ibrahim appealed to the government to speed up work on the construction of the new Upper West Regional Hospital.
A major issue that continues to militate against the effective delivery of health services in their area is the intermittent breakdown of the only X-ray machine of the Wa Regional Hospital. We would be grateful if this could be looked at. It is also our hope that work would be expedited to complete the new regional hospital to expand health delivery services in the region as a whole.
Upper West Regional Minister Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan expressed concern over the attitude of some youth in the region who have resorted to the use of guns to settle scores.
It's so disheartening to note that within our own people, within brothers, within the same community, people are brave enough to shoot one another with guns.
Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Kofi Jemasi stated that government is committed to improving the standard of living of the people. He urged the people, especially the youth, to take advantage of the several intervention programs initiated by the government.
The law setting up the Zongo Development Fund and to govern the use of the fund has been passed. Parliament has also passed the law establishing the Northern Regional Authority to speed up development in the Northern region. We are committed as a government to the task of improving upon our economic laws to ensure a better standard of living for all Ghanaians.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
This is Joy News Prime.
And in the headlines this hour, prepaid customer of the Electricity Company of Ghana loses consciousness in the struggle to get her service restored following the major computer glitch that's affected tens of thousands in Accra. Meanwhile, the ECG is yet to resolve the problem for the stranded customers. Works and Housing Ministry is investigating the forceful eviction of a government worker from his bungalow and has promised to punish those involved. Vice President Mamadou Bawumia has visited Kumasi Academy, where swine flu outbreak has claimed 4 lives in the past 2 weeks. In business, Aviation Minister assures fate of dismissed Starboard workers as a result of restructuring of the airline may only be temporary. And Cape Coast High Court quashes rustication of 22 students of the University of Cape Coast and directs the university to compensate them.